Many workers are on a massive cruise ship, which accidentally collides with an uncharted, deserted island. What they don't realize is that the island harbors extremely dangerous things that begin to hunt the surviving crew. The story begins with the cruise ship heading toward the United States, carrying a vast amount of cargo, including specialized electronic equipment and machinery for industrial use. After traveling more than halfway, the sea suddenly turns strange, with waves moving unpredictably and causing the ship to lose balance, as if the ocean itself is trying to overturn it. The vessel veers off course completely and the crew can no longer control it. Now the ship drifts wherever the waves take it, a perilous situation, since any collision with rocks could lead to a catastrophic explosion. Eventually, the ship reaches an area filled with massive rocks. With no control left, it crashes violently into the rocks, leaving no chance for escape. The explosion kills everyone on board from the pilots to the crew, while cargo scatters across the sea. It seems this is the day many lives are lost at once. A short while later, a small boat appears with 3 surviving crew members who managed to escape the blast. Terrified and disoriented, they have no clear plan, surrounded by the vast ocean with no land in sight. Though they possess a map, they cannot use it properly. Their current location is entirely uncharted, showing that they have veered far off course. Exhausted and low on resources, the 3 can only pray for survival and hope to find a safe place. They wait on the boat amid dense fog, unable to see anything. By morning, their luck improves slightly when they spot an island in the distance. Deciding to row toward it, they reach the shore of this unknown island, completely absent from any map. Though it appears uninhabited, staying in the freezing sea would be fatal, so they have no choice but to land and rest. At least on the island, they might find something in nature to sustain themselves temporarily. Unaware of the grave mistake they are about to make, the 3 step onto the beach, not realizing that far greater horrors await them. While resting, an old man suddenly appears, startling the trio. His name is Henry, and he asks why they have come to the island. After hearing about the shipwreck and their narrow escape, Henry takes them to his home. Relieved to find another person alive on the island, they accept his hospitality. Henry provides them with food, and after hours of hunger they eat ravenously. During the meal, Henry inquires about the details of their journey, and Costly and Jim recount the entire ordeal. Henry reassures them that they can stay as long as they like, but the 3 remain concerned that other colleagues may have survived and could be stranded at sea. They suggest lighting a large fire on the shore as a signal for any survivors, and Henry agrees to help with it after they finish eating. While still on the boat, Costly injures his hand, prompting Henry to take all 3 to another resident of the island, a man named Doug, to treat the wound. Jim and Paris accompany Doug for medical assistance. Everything seems normal, and the residents are kind, but the island is vast and filled with abandoned houses, and apart from these 4 people, there appears to be no one else living there. This raises a troubling question for the 3. On such a large island, why are there only 4 people? Where did everyone who once lived in the abandoned houses go? Their suspicion grows, and they feel compelled to uncover the truth. Doug explains that they need to stay for a few days to recover, as their bodies are injured, and contact with seawater could lead to infection. Henry adds that many years ago, the island was more populated, but over time it became barren and its resources depleted. Most people left, while Henry and his family chose to stay, unwilling to abandon the place they had lived their entire lives. The explanation seems reasonable, so the 3 feel temporarily reassured and continue to stay a few more days, though a sense of unease lingers. The island is too quiet, eerily so. At night, while sleeping, Costly begins to hear strange noises coming from the forest, despite being told that no one else lives on the island. Jim and Paris notice the same, and their suspicions grow. They are determined to explore and uncover what is truly hidden. The next morning, they secretly venture out without asking for permission. Doug tries to stop them, warning that the forest is dangerous at night and that they will find nothing beyond what is already known. But the 3 insist on verifying it themselves. They travel far, exploring every abandoned house. As Doug predicted, they find nothing, no animals, not even insects. A deserted island with only 4 living people heightens Costly and Paris's suspicions, prompting careful discussion. They decide to split up and search in 2 different directions, setting a rendezvous point to regroup in a few hours. After hours of wandering through the forest, Costly is the first to return to the meeting spot, where Leah and Jim are already waiting. Paris, however, has not returned. As darkness falls, the forest becomes pitch black under the canopy. Paris struggles to see, and with an injured leg moving becomes difficult. Panic sets in as he tries to find a way out only to get lost. He begins to hear strange sounds, as if someone is watching him. Paris shouts for his friends but they are too far to hear him. Desperate, he heads toward a clearing he can just make out ahead, his face filled with fear. Meanwhile, Costly informs Jim that Paris has not returned and may be lost. They want to go immediately to search for him. Doug, hearing the news, realizes Paris is trapped in the forest and becomes alarmed. He warns them that going out at night would endanger their lives, insisting that they wait until morning, as the forest is extremely dangerous after dark. Despite their worry, Costly and Jim follow Doug's advice and wait through the night. The next morning, they enter the forest to search for their friend. What they fear most comes true. They find Paris's body lying on the ground. Shocked and speechless, Costly and Jim cannot comprehend what has happened. All the crew members were strong and brave, and someone like Paris could not have been killed so easily. Observing the wounds on Paris's body, it is clear that he was pushed from a height. Worse still, they are now trapped on the island with no way to leave until a rescue team arrives. Costly and Jim step aside to discuss the situation. They are certain that something sinister is at work on the island, and this mysterious force has claimed Paris's life. Determined to uncover the truth, they decide to investigate. Their suspicions fall on the two girls living on the island. Since the day they arrived, Claire and Leah have behaved strangely. During their first encounter, the girls even attempted to attack them, but Henry intervened just in time. They also notice that the two girls' bodies change at night. Their skin color shifts and their eyes distort. Henry and Doug explain that it is a rare disease, incurable in the city, which is why the girls were brought to the island for care. But Claire seems far more dangerous. It is said that at night she loses control and must be locked in a room. Claire also performs strange rituals before a large fire, wearing a black robe as if casting spells. At first, Costly and Jim dismiss it as superstition and pay little attention. But after Paris's death, their suspicion grows. They begin to think that the two women may have killed Paris during the night. Without concrete evidence, they decide to leave the house for the moment, though their doubts remain. That night, both enter their room to rest, but Costly cannot sleep. He wants to uncover the truth. While searching, he unexpectedly finds an old diary on the ground. He takes it back to the room and begins to read. Inside, the diary reveals the island's history, shocking Costly completely. Henry had claimed that his family stayed because the others left due to depleted resources. The diary tells a different story. The others never left, they were killed. Terrified, Costly immediately tells Jim everything. He insists they must leave the island immediately. Paris is dead and his death is clearly tied to the island's secrets. If they do not act fast, they will be the next victims. The two decide to stop investigating for now and plan an escape. Fortunately, the boat they used to reach the island is not far. They gather all their belongings and supplies, intending to sneak to the boat under the cover of night and leave the island as quickly as possible. But darkness falls, and thick fog engulfs the forest. Visibility is nearly zero, and they cannot determine the correct direction. Surrounded by dense fog, they are effectively trapped. Approaching the ground, the fog thins slightly. To navigate, they move close to the ground, crawling forward. This allows them to see through thinner layers of fog and determine whether a path lies ahead. Using this method, they manage to pass through the densest areas. However, as they proceed, they must maintain a signal or warning system to detect any approaching threats. They can also advance slowly on their knees, a safer method in the obscured terrain. Costly and Jim are terrified when they hear cries for help from many people. Their only focus is to find the boat and escape, but the dense fog prevents them from seeing the sea or orienting themselves. At one point, they near a dangerous cliff. A single misstep could mean death. Fortunately, Henry appears in time, spotting them from a distance and ordering them to stop. Costly and Jim freeze, and Henry calls them back to the house. He scolds them for their recklessness, explaining that escape from the island is impossible. Everyone who has tried before has died, including Paris. Initially, Costly and Jim do not fully understand Henry, but gradually he begins to reveal the island's secrets. He explains that years ago, the island was populated by people from various countries, all struggling to survive with limited resources. The land was infertile, food was scarce and trees and fruit were insufficient for survival. Despite hardship, the residents built stone houses for shelter. One day, a woman with golden hair and extraordinary beauty appeared on the island. Her arrival astonished everyone, and Finn quickly became part of the community. Remarkably, from the moment Finn arrived, the island began to flourish. Trees and fruits grew abundantly. The residents revered Finn as a goddess, believing her presence brought prosperity. Previously barren land became fertile, food and resources plentiful. All credit was given to Finn. In truth, Finn was no ordinary woman. She was a goddess incarnate, sent to the island in human form to aid the residents. To the people, she appeared as a normal woman, but everything happening on the island unfolded according to a divine plan. Thanks to Finn, the island's condition improved completely, making life prosperous and favorable in all aspects, exactly as the gods intended. As the saying goes, some human civilizations cannot endure prosperity. They seek to assert their power. One day, a drunken man on the island attacks Finn. He attempts to assault her, and despite her screams in the forest, no one comes to her aid. The drunken man beats Finn severely, leaving her unconscious, and she dies on the spot, crying until her last breath. After killing Finn, the man and his accomplices realize the magnitude of their crime. They hide her body, thinking no one will notice and that the island will continue to prosper. But from that moment, a curse befalls the entire island. The once fertile land and trees, nourished by Finn, are suddenly destroyed. Life on the island begins to perish. The male residents die mysteriously, controlled by no one else but the female inhabitants. Their eyes and body language are altered, as if an invisible force compels them to kill all men on the island, including any visitors. The curse extends so far that any ship approaching the island malfunctions and is destroyed. No one can survive the island. Jim and Paris are no exceptions. Paris is dead, and now Costly and Jim face the same fate. Henry reveals the full truth. The goddess uses her power to control Claire and Leah, forcing them to kill anyone who comes to the island, just as they killed Paris. This curse has existed for many years with no known end. Despite the danger, Costly and Jim attempt to escape. After witnessing the deaths of so many residents over the years, Henry is exhausted and wishes to break the curse. He devises a plan with Costly and Jim to help them flee. At night, Claire and Leah become highly dangerous, their eyes turning white as they prepare to attack. Henry secretly restrains them to give Costly and Jim a chance to escape. However, the goddess's power is immense, and she still manipulates Claire and Leah to attack. Henry struggles to save Costly but he is killed. Jim narrowly escapes and runs as far as possible. Fortunately, he finds the hidden boat and attempts to flee the island. Jim climbs onto the boat and continues across the water, but the island's curse is too strong. It seizes control of him as well, his eyes turning unnatural and his body transforming. He writhes in agony and falls into the water, and no one ever knows what becomes of him. Once again, the island's curse claims another life. Afterward, Claire and Leah return to normal. Realizing the deaths they caused while under the curse, they cannot bear the guilt. They climb to a cliff and leap to their deaths, ending their lives tragically. With no women left on the island for the goddess to control, the curse gradually diminishes. The island becomes safe, though the fate of Jim remains unknown, leaving a lingering mystery. Eventually, the island vanishes completely, and with it the story of its dark secrets comes to an end.